There are many reasons why people with ADHD struggle with task initiation, and that is not what we're going to discuss today. Today, we're going to discuss how to actually get started on the task. However, if you've been here for a while, you can probably guess it is highly, highly related to weak thinking skills. Hey there, I'm Misty Rappaport, and I help ADHD entrepreneurs optimize their brain so running their business is a whole lot easier. Now, there are 28 thinking skills, and actually we'll have stronger ones and weaker ones, but one very related to being able to start a task is called clear perception. We need to be able to take in the information in a clear and organized way and figure out what we need to do to be able to get started. And more often than not, people with ADHD really, really struggle with this thinking skill. When it's weak, it's called blurred perception. And there's two ways that it can be getting in your way. Number one is when there's so much information and you just like are like, oh my goodness, there's so much information. I can't even take any of this in. So imagine you open a door to a room that you like, you need to clean, but you open the door and it's like way too messy and way too much things just flying everywhere. And there's garbage and there's laundry and there's papers and there's toys and there's like 100 things that all you want to do is like crawl under your covers. So you close the door, leave the room, you don't do it, right? Too much information, your brain, all of it is coming in a really blurry and messy way. The second way that it might show up, which is also very related to this thinking skill, is you take in that information and it's clear and organized-ish, but it's not clear and organized enough for you to be able to get started, to see like, okay, where is my starting point? How am I going to get started on this task? So maybe you open the door and you do see like all these stuff. You see the laundry and you see the toys and you see the garbage and all that, things like that. But it's coming in your brain, but it's like, okay, there's so much information going on here, but I don't know where to start. So then you go out and you close the door. I'm going to guess if you are struggling with ADHD, that one of those two ways are super relatable to you, and maybe even both. So we're going to solve both of those issues, starting with the number one of taking in information in a clear and organized way. Because we take in information through our five senses, one of the best ways to take in information in a clear, organized way is to force our brain to take it in through our five senses in a clear and organized way. So what you simply want to do is whenever you are feeling overwhelmed by a task and you don't know how to get started, is ask yourself, what do I see? And literally list out everything you see. Garbage, toys, food, whatever it is, right? Or maybe you're overwhelmed by doing taxes and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I see? I see W-2 forms and I see like client bills and I see like expenses and all these 100 things. And you just list all the things you see. Then you go to what do I hear? And list all those things. What do I taste? What do I smell? And what do I feel? And just list those out what you're gonna, each one of those. And what happens is it forces your brain to calm down and take that information in a clear and organized way. So that solves the first issue. Then we get to the second issue. Now, how do we actually get started? And instead of being overwhelmed by all this information and having to do so much, all you want to do is create the starting point. What is the very first thing? And you just go ahead and do that starting point. So, for example, if you are cleaning your room, that might be picking up garbage, or you might decide it's picking up laundry. Or if you are going to do taxes, it might be gathering specific type of forms, or it might be simply sending an email to your accountant. What is the very first step that you need to do? Now, why does creating a starting point work so well? Well, first of all, once we get started and once you're in it, usually it's a lot easier, right? It's like that starting part that for people with ADHD is super challenging because, like I said, of these weak thinking skills. But once we create that starting point and we take action on that starting point, then it's a lot easier for us to continue to move forward. So once you pick up the garbage, it's easier to pick up the laundry. And once you pick up the laundry, it is easier to fold the clean laundry. And once you fold the clean laundry, it's easier to go through the papers. Now, if in middle, you've been able to get through a certain point, but then you go and you feel overwhelmed again. But like, okay, I did all this, but like there's still all this. You just redo this again. What do I see? What do I hear? What do I taste? What do I smell? And now, what is my starting point? Now, another reason why creating a starting point is super, super helpful is something that I don't think it actually gets discussed enough, but it's really that it gives us clarity on the rest of the task, right? So when you walk into that messy room, it's just overwhelming. You don't even know where to start. As soon as you start and you've created your starting point and you did that starting point, all of a sudden your brain now picks up more relevant information. It's not getting overwhelmed by all this information. It gives you clarity on what part of this information is super important. And that's why it's related to that clear perception, taking the information in a clear and organized way for what you need. So I hope that's super helpful for you. If you would like to really optimize your brain, so making a starting point is easier. So clear perception is easier. So starting tasks is easier. So running your business, creating systems, communication, all the things that you are struggling with is a whole lot easier. You will want to apply to your entrepreneur brain rewired. That is at lifepicksuniversity.com/YABR, where we work for 90 days together to really, really optimize your brain. And the link to that will be right below. Bye for now. Have an awesome day, and I will catch you on the next video.